Neuroplasticity comes into play here to remind us through the lens of science that the brain is not a finished product, but a dynamic, ever-evolving masterpiece. And when parents understand this, they stop expecting instant flowers and start trusting the process. Our job as educators is to help parents become patient gardeners, setting right expectations, understanding that growth takes time, and with the right care, even the most entangled roots can grow strong and beautiful. Today, as we explore the idea of parents as allies, we're honored to welcome Srimati Indrani Basu, Head of Parent Empowerment and Training, Action for Autism, New Delhi. She has been a true pioneer in planting seeds of awareness and acceptance for over a quarter of a century. Indeed, a pleasure to have you with us, ma'am. Welcome to this blooming garden of minds.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. A big thank you to all the organizers. It's been a wonderful event, and Bhakti has a very close place in my heart. I have, this is my second visit. I had come way back in 1998, and I'd come with my son and my mother, and was extremely blessed to have been blessed by Baba himself. So this is like a homecoming, and it is a privilege to be here. So, all over the past 2 days, we've been talking about neurodiversity, we've been talking about neuroplasticity, and we've talked about neurodiverse people and how to teach them. And here I am. I'm going to be talking about parents as allies, right? Bringing parents right in, because we know that they are stakeholders. But all the same, let's kind of just go through why we're talking about parents as allies. So, neuroplasticity. We've heard a lot about it. We know that it is defined as the brain's ability to change and adapt through life in response to experiences and learning. And I'm going to focus on a few keywords over here. Adapt through life, in response to experiences and learnings. And when we are talking about through life and experiences and learnings, who does the child have the opportunity to learn the most from? Who can expose the child, who has the opportunities to expose the child to myriads of experiences throughout life? It is the parent, right? And I'm really not talking about just neurodiverse people. I'm talking about us. I'm all of, and I have no issues saying that, 53 years old. Let me forget a recipe today. The first person to call is who? Mother, right? Dad. So it could be the mother, it could be the father, right? So the parent remains the lifelong guru as far as children are concerned, and the most constant, the most vested, the people who are truly, truly invested in the person's growth. The other thing that we know is that consistency is absolutely critical for neuroplasticity, right? It is whatever we do, if it is not followed up at home, if there is the instructional environment and the home environment are not in sync with each other, we know that a lot of the things that we do, a lot of the things that we teach are not going to really be that effective. And we also know that we are, isn't this coming in? It is, yeah. We do know that we are indeed better together, right? But when we talk about being better together, being on the same page, we also know that that may not really be the case all the time. Often, as teachers and parents, it almost seems like we're on two banks of the river. And then there is this whole flood of dissonance in the middle. Dissonance as far as acceptance is concerned. Maybe acceptance of the person's identity, the child's learning style. It could be as far as the child's, abilities are concerned. There could be dissonance as far as expectations are concerned, focus is concerned. Maybe as teachers, we feel that if the expectations and the focus could be slightly different, then the child would learn far better. There could be a dissonance as far as approach and strategies are concerned. And I know that as teachers, a lot of us identify with what I'm trying to say, right? So, there is this often, and we are spending a lot of time as teachers in trying to bridge that gap. And bridge the gap we must, right? Because we know that until and unless we've bridged that gap, a lot of our work is actually going to go to naught. And in fact, this is what we've just discussed in the morning, that, what can we do as teachers to bridge this gap? And one of the things that I have found useful as a teacher is that when we actually begin with understanding parental experiences, it just helps us a little more to understand where they are and then get our thoughts ahead to them. And this is what we call the stages of grief. Every parent goes through these stages till they reach the stage of acceptance, as we call it. They go through what is called denial of the diagnosis. This didn't happen to me, this couldn't happen to me. And then there's anger, how could this happen to me? And then there's bargaining with God. I'll do anything, I'll go to any therapy, but just make this person normal. And then there's depression. Nothing seems to be working. And then there is the beauty of acceptance, wherein you come to a stage where you actually accept the person for who he or she is, accept the identity, accept the learning style, accept all that is, accept all that will be, and accept all that is not and all that will not be. And that is a beautiful place to be at. But you know what? This journey does not happen in one day. It's a very difficult journey. You are constantly bombarded with people telling you that this is a tragedy in your life. People actually tell you, when you tell somebody that, my child is neurodivergent, people say, I'm sorry. People send you sympathy cards when the child with Down syndrome is born. It's a lonely journey. You're rejected. You're not invited to parties. You're not invited to weddings. And even if you are invited, you're gently told, maybe if Rohit could stay home, he'd be more comfortable. And in this difficult, lonely journey, a friend makes it easier. And oftentimes, in the initial parts of the journey, the only friend that a parent has is you, is the teacher. You are the parent's safe place. You are the child's safe place. And when we can begin from this understanding, it is so much easier for us to help the parent see what we want them to see. So we want to nurture the safe space. Listen. And I know it was said before, when the parent comes to you, they already have their backs up. They're on the defensive, sometimes on the offensive. Remember, safe space? You often do say very nasty things in your safe space. We all know that, right? So, the parent is on the defensive, on the offensive, anticipating that you are going to complain, scared that you are going to complain. And what we want to do at that point of time is listen. Just listen to what they have to say. when interacting with parents, initially it would be a good idea not to focus on what you have to say, but just listen. And as Snigdha just told me during the tea break, another thing, do not sit opposite the parent, sit next to the parent. So the team spirit. Acknowledge, validate experiences. We often say, I know what you're going through, but we don't. If we have not walked that road as a parent, we do not know what the parent is experiencing. So yes, we want to acknowledge, we want to validate, we want to say, yes, we understand, and yes, we appreciate what you are doing. And oftentimes it is this space that the parent has got to vent, the space that the parent has got to be reassured, to be acknowledged. Oftentimes that is just enough. That is just enough for them to feel that you are part of their team, that you are part of a single team. And this gets further reinforced when you celebrate wins. I know that as teachers, we celebrate, we celebrate positive news, even small victories. Maybe we celebrate about worksheets, but that's not all. What we also could talk about is something as simple as, today he ate the banana with a fork. Or without being told, she went and she washed her hands after a snack. Or today, you know what? Instead of blurting out the answer, he raised his hand. So the moment we focus on these things, we celebrate wins with the parents, again, we are reinforcing the fact that, you know what, we're on the same team. And it could be done through, a WhatsApp message, a notebook, a diary. This is something that I had seen in a classroom, an achievement board, which used to change every week. And the teachers used to send a picture to all the parents. And who doesn't want their child's name to be there on a board like this, right? And when we are working on this bonding, we are helping the parent understand that we are one team. It is so much easier for us to guide expectations because that we must, right? There could be some parents who, who think that maybe the child will not be able to do anything. Really feel that child is not performing at all. For them, we need to help them see the capacity. We need to help them see that there is so much the child can do versus focusing on what the child cannot do. But more often than not, this is not the slide that I had. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We want the parents to have we basically want to ensure that we are walking our parents through expectations. And oftentimes what happens is that parents may have expectations that are counterproductive, right? I think we've all experienced that. So entirely possible that the parent wants the child to be writing the long answers, but all that the child is ready for right now are the MCQs. Or why is the child not up to date as far as EVS is concerned? Why is he getting such poor marks? Or in the board exams, I want the child to do both the languages. Child may not be ready for it, and we know that as teachers, and we know that if we push the child into this, it is going to be counterproductive. And in our zeal to ensure that the child continues learning, is comfortable, when the parent comes up with the expectations, what do we usually say? No. But that's not possible, right? And you've got the parents back up. The moment we use these two words, no and but, you've got the parents back up. And all I would propose is that maybe we just want to change these words. Instead of using no and but, we replace with yes and. Just rhetoric, just words. But remember, words have power. So what instead we could say is that, of course, yes, he's not doing that well in EVS, and yes, we want him to do well. And we want to acknowledge, we want to validate, and then we want to explicate the path. We want to have the parents see what are the prerequisites. Yes, he needs to be at par at EVS, and for that, these are all the prerequisites. The moment you've removed but and no, you would see the parent is slightly more receptive. And what happens at that point of time is that you are going to be able to need be give a laundry list. Not doing so well in EVS, what do we as a team need to do for that? And the team comprises definitely of the school, but more so at this point of time, the parent, and here you are beginning to co-create goals. You are beginning to tell the parent what all the parent may need to do, because remember, this goal is not ours that we've given. This is the parents that the parent wants to achieve. Oftentimes, the motivation is slightly higher. Absolutely. EVS, two of the things that we need to work gung-ho on is comprehension, because I think the reading comprehension is coming in the way of the child's learning. Also could be experiential. So right now we're teaching germination, and you need to have a lot of activities, do a lot of germination activities at home, and then you will see that the child will learn better. And when we do this, it basically enables parents to see outcomes with better clarity. When we are sharing learnings, when we are sharing strategies, we do exactly what we do with our children, with our students. We start small. We scaffold, right, for children? Start small, manage expectations as far as we are concerned. We need to understand, so as Sujata ma'am just said, that we need to understand where the parent is at this point of time. Okay, so we want to manage expectations, and the other thing that we want to do is we want to give doable strategies. Show versus tell. Instead of telling the parent what to do, what we could do is we could tell the parent, or rather show the parent what has worked. Something simple, something small. Remember, we're starting small. It could be something like, you know what, Rohit has suddenly he started following instructions so much better in class. And all I do now is, instead of giving him an instruction from anywhere, I ensure that I go in front of him nowadays. So that I'm ensuring that the attention is there. It's a tiny little goal, right? It's a goal that the child is already kind of fluent in school. So if the parent has to do this at home, he is going to be successful. Success breeds success. He is going to want to probably follow more suggestions. And of course, just like we share what's worked, we want to invite sharing, inputs for accommodation, changes in the learning environment. And that is definitely something that a trained, experienced parent can help you with. Facilitate empowerment. One of my favorite sayings is that a teacher is someone who makes himself or herself progressively unnecessary. The moment you know that your student doesn't need you any longer, you know your work's done. And that's what we want as far as parents are concerned. We want to empower parents and see if you can facilitate interactions with families with shared experiences. Counselors, therapists who specialize in family support. But you know what? I think one of the biggest gifts that we can give parents, remember, the world and its brother is telling them that this is a tragedy to have happened in your life. We are the mirror. We can help promote comfort with identity. We can help the parent understand that diversity is nature's norm. There is diversity in the plant kingdom. There's diversity in the animal kingdom. Why just animal kingdom? So even in a single species of tigers, there are so many tigers. There is biological diversity. Biological diversity is nature's norm. Gender, color, height, hair color, eye color, and I'm not talking about cultural diversity over here. I'm talking about biological diversity, physiological diversity. So isn't it ridiculous to expect that all of us will learn similarly? If we look dissimilar, how can we not learn differently? So neurodiversity is nature's norm. There is nothing called normal, there is nothing called abnormal, because the moment you say neurodiversity is nature's norm, you're saying neurodiversity is normal. So where does abnormal come in? It does not. There is nothing called better or worse. There is not, being neurotypical or neurodiverse, neither is a better way of being, neither is a worse way of being. It is just a different way of being. It is a valid way of being. It is an identity as part of the person's identity as the gender is as far as you and I are concerned, and none of us probably, or a minuscule of us, would want to change our identity. We are proud of our identity. We are proud of our, of our gender. So there is no question of abnormal, normal, and that is the gift that we give parents to help the parent become comfortable with the identity, because we are the mirror. We help them understand what we believe about the child and about the identity. And I know you must be thinking, isn't it enough that I have to teach 50 children in class? I have to make lesson plans, so many new ideas now. I have to incorporate those. I want to incorporate those. There are, huge curriculum. There is papers to correct. Aren't I exhausted enough? And now you tell me that you need to do all these things with parents. Seriously. But you know what? An empowered, motivated parent is an invaluable support to you, to the team. And I'm just going to walk you through a few, people I know. V is 8 years old. He studies in the 3rd standard in a mainstream school. He's a fluent speaker. He's a fluent reader. This is V at 3 years old. This is V at 3 years old. He's self-taught. He's an A+ student. He's been toilet trained from 3 years of age. He's also autistic. And in the 1st grade, remember, he's toilet trained from 3 years of age. In the 1st grade, when he went to school, he suddenly started having toilet accidents. Why? Well, remember, autism, there's a communication gap. Of course, at home, he could take himself to the toilet any point of time. But at school, what used to happen was when he needed to go to take himself to the toilet, he just walked out of class. The social aspect of asking for permission was something that we had not learned yet. So to support we to do that, this trained, empowered mom sent these communication cards where we would just take the toilet card, hand it over to the teacher, and then she would permit him to go to the toilet. And that is one monkey of the teacher's back. So that happened in 1st grade. 2nd grade, the teacher became a little busier. And what happened at that point of time was, It would have been far better if we could just go out of class. But if he just went out of class, then what, people around would ask, "V, what are you doing outside of class?" So they'd think that he's just walked out of class. So this was the social story that the mother made for him, and the tags which we would wear around his neck, go to the toilet and come back, making it completely legitimate. And you know what? This became a class-wide strategy because it just worked so much better for all the kids. Another parent, the teacher constantly had to be telling the child where to begin to read and where to finish reading. Familiar, right? So how can I focus on the other child? Because there is Ayan, who needs to be told constantly where to begin and where to end. And this is all the parent did. From earlier on, she would know which page to begin on and which page to end, and she just gave these chits. Yet another parent, M's parent. Often M needed somebody to repeat the written instructions to help him focus on the written instructions. The second is a comprehension worksheet. Where do I find the answers? This is S's parent. S is all of 5 years old, goes to to higher KG, hates coloring. But coloring is an important part of certain classes. So what does mom do? Makes the coloring sheet. And all that S needs to do is color that flag. Adaptation, modifications, can we see all of that? Accommodations, who's doing that? The parent is. And thereby, remember, parent as allies. It's a win-win, all over, all through, all across. It's like we're on a boat. Rather, the child is the boat. And with the 2 oars. With 1 oar, of course, the boat will move forward. But maybe navigating stormy skies, navigating the water in general, reaching the maximum potential, may not be possible. They say parents are the first teachers. Teachers are the second parents. How many of us refer to our students as our children? Hands up, please. See? It does not matter. It does not matter. If you are a teacher, every student somewhere is your child. And when both sets of parents work together, that's when our children learn to become the best versions of themselves, because that's what we want. That they become the best versions of themselves. I want to be the best Indrani on the face of the earth. Why will I want to be the best, Bhanu? I want to be the best Indrani on the face of the earth, right? And that is what we want for our children, that they become the best versions of themselves, and with parents and teachers on the same team. Nothing can hold our children back from reaching the skies. So thank you so much, and Saira.
Please stay. We have a felicitation. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your profound reflections on joining hands with parents to build a world that truly includes and uplifts every unique mind. To felicitate Srimati Indrani Basu, I invite Srimati Jenin Birals and Srimati Sai Leela Swaminathan. Little at the center.